You think you know what a financial red flag looks like. Bankruptcy, a gambling habit, a maxed out card from a shopping spree, big visible disasters. But the habits that actually destroy most people's finances are invisible. They feel normal. They feel rational. There is one specific behavior, something the average person does automatically without question, that quietly doubles the true cost of nearly every purchase they make. It does not trigger any alert. It does not show up anywhere obvious. Hold that thought. The explanation is coming. But first, understand why this stays hidden for so long. The system around it is designed to keep you from noticing. Most people never actually think about the full price of something. They think about the monthly payment. A couch costs $89 a month. A car costs $499 a month. Gym is just $4 a day. The real number, the total, disappears. It sounds harmless, but it is not. Here is what changes. When you see a monthly payment, your brain asks one question: can I afford this right now? That is a very different question from, should I be buying this at all? The first one only checks whether the number fits this month. The second one actually weighs the bigger picture. And most people never get to the second question because the monthly number already answered it for them. Richard Thaler, a behavioral economist who won the Nobel Prize in 2017, studied exactly this. His research showed that when prices are broken into smaller pieces, people stop evaluating the total cost. They just check whether the piece fits. Stores and car dealerships know this. It is why they lead with monthly payments, not totals. Once your brain gets trained to think this way, it starts applying the same logic everywhere, including to debt you already have. And that is where things start to quietly fall apart. Framing is not accidental. It is how things are sold to you. And once your brain adopts it as a default, you carry it into decisions where no salesperson is involved. You apply it to credit cards, to existing debt, to loans you are already inside, which brings up the habit that almost nobody names directly. Thinking of available credit as available money. Your card has a $4,000 limit. You have spent $1,500. Most people experience the remaining $2,500 not as borrowed capacity, but as a resource. The limit feels like a cushion. The available balance feels like a checking account. And when real money runs short, that perception drives real behavior. You swipe for groceries, for gas, for things you cannot actually afford because the number on the screen says you can. How does that become a lasting pattern? The statement arrives, the minimum payment looks manageable, and the cycle runs again next month. Financial therapist Brad Klontz, who studies what he calls money scripts, the unconscious beliefs about money formed in childhood that shape every adult financial decision, has documented this across hundreds of clients. People who grew up without financial education often inherit a relationship with credit that treats access as ownership. Nobody taught them the difference, so the brain fills the gap with the closest mental model it has. If I can use it, I have it. Now here is the one that makes people uncomfortable when they actually do the math. Daily spending. Not vacations, not big purchases, the coffee, the delivery app, the lunch because cooking felt like too much. $10 on coffee every workday, $20 on food, that is $30 daily. Across 250 working days, that is $7,500. Where does that leave you by year end? For most people who add in weekends and evening orders, the number clears $10,000 spent on the ordinary texture of a Tuesday. Meanwhile, that same person says they cannot afford to invest, cannot build a savings buffer. Will start once income goes up. The short-term cost feels small because it is small. Your brain does not sum daily transactions into annual totals automatically. It experiences each $5 as a $5 event, not as one $10,000 decision made slowly over a year. You have to run that math yourself, deliberately, before the habit becomes your financial identity. Now back to that behavior from the opening, the one that doubles the cost of nearly everything you buy. Here is exactly where it comes from. If you carry a $5,000 balance on a credit card at 20% annual interest, and pay only the minimum each month, you will spend roughly 9 years paying it off. By the end, you will have paid back nearly $12,000. The original $5,000 purchase cost you $7,000 extra in interest alone. Product did not get more valuable. You simply did not calculate the total cost before agreeing to the terms. Researchers Drazen, Prelec, and Duncan Simester at MIT documented why this keeps happening. In experiments from the early 2000s, people paying with credit cards consistently placed higher value on the same items than people paying with cash. Separating the moment of purchase from the moment of payment, which credit cards are built to do, reduces what psychologists call the pain of paying. You feel the cost less, you spend more readily, pay only the minimum, and you feel it least of all. Until years later, when the balance is still there and you genuinely cannot explain why it never moved. That is not carelessness. It's a predictable result of a predictable design. Now consider lifestyle creep. The moment income increases, expenses tend to rise to match it. The upgraded apartment, the newer car, the restaurants you did not go to before. Each decision feels proportional to where you are now, earned, and reasonable. Why does the savings rate stay flat or drop? Because there is always a sensible explanation for why next month is the right time to start directing money forward. Lifestyle creep is hard to catch because it arrives dressed as progress. You are spending more because things are going well. The trap is that going well only compounds if some of the increase actually moves forward, rather than immediately becoming your new fixed monthly cost of living. Behind most of these habits is the same cognitive pattern. Psychologists call it optimism bias, the tendency to assume your future self will handle a problem better than your present self can. Future, you will earn more. Future, you will be more disciplined. Future, you will sort out the debt, the emergency fund, the retirement account. Present, you just needs to get through this month. Daniel Kahneman, whose research on human judgment and decision-making won a Nobel Prize in 2002, documented how consistently people underestimate future costs and overestimate their future capacity to deal with them. The antidote is not willpower, it is structure. Automated transfers, preset savings percentages, fixed investment contributions made before the rest of the money is touchable. When the monthly decision is removed from the equation, optimism bias loses most of its power over your finances. What separates a mistake from a red flag? Mistake is missing a payment, forgetting a subscription, one difficult month. These are different. Paying off one credit card with another. Selling a possession for cash when money gets tight, buying it back when things stabilize, then selling it again the following month. Refusing to look at a bank balance because not knowing feels less threatening than knowing. These are not quirks. They are signs that someone has stopped believing they can change the outcome at all. The avoidance is the red flag. The debt is just the symptom of a belief that has already given up. The same logic runs through shared finances. One of the most consistently underestimated warning signs in a relationship is financial secrecy. Not overspending, secrecy. A partner who hides purchases, deflects money conversations, or explains away debt with vague confidence about future income, showing you something real about how they handle information they cannot face. A pattern of forgotten wallets and borrowed tabs without follow-through follows the same internal logic every time. Minimize the present cost, let the future handle it. The future almost never cooperates on that deal. There is something harder to put a number on, but worth naming. Financial stress reduces your options at exactly the moments when options matter most. When a medical bill arrives, when a pet needs emergency care and there is nothing set aside, when a decision has to be made under pressure and the credit card is the only tool available. The problem is not that you used the card. The problem is that the card was already the only answer. And somewhere underneath, you already knew that before the crisis showed up. The emergency fund you kept deferring is not a discipline question. It is a question of whether you have real choices when real things happen. We analyze the hidden psychological frameworks and mental models that govern your money, career, and daily choices every single week. If you want to train your second-order thinking and build a strategic competitive advantage, hit subscribe and join the channel. You thought you knew what a financial red flag looked like. Big disasters, obvious failures, but the habits that quietly cost most people hundreds of thousands of dollars over a lifetime look nothing like disaster. They look like a monthly payment that fits, a card swipe that feels small, a bank account you would rather not open. The catastrophe is not coming from somewhere far off. It has been running quietly in the background the whole time. And the only difference between people who stop it and people who do not is the moment they decide to actually look.